This is our nightly kick-around of all things World Cup. Peter Welton, Andy Swift, and Lars on World Cup Kick-Around. Brought to you by Pantalones Organic Tequila, The Wolf of Law Street, and Sports Radio 96.7 and 1310, The Ticket.
Norway looking to get the other side of Doku. Dani Olmo, good save. There's the follow-up 1-0. In by Fabian Ruiz, and Spain take the lead. Thibaut Courtois made the initial save to deny Dani Olmo, but nothing he could do about Fabian Ruiz, and the two-time Champions League winner fires Spain ahead.
Welcome to World Cup Kick-Around and our coverage of Match Day 30 for Sports Radio 96.7 and 1310, The Ticket. Don't forget, you can find out all the details about the show, the broadcast, the stream, the podcast, stuff on our website, thekickaround.com. I'm here, Peter. He's there. The world's most interesting man, Andy.
Hello, Peter.
And over there, it is Lars. Welcome, Lars. Welcome, everybody. It's a big day on the show. I was saying this beforehand. After today, there are only 5 World Cup kick-arounds left.
Man.
That feels very strange, doesn't it?
Weird. There's only 6 matches left. Like
is it 6?
Forward, yeah.
1, 2, are we counting the third place game?
Yeah, it's a match. I'll take anything I can get. After complaining about those, I don't know, what's a random game? We were like, oh, do we have to watch this game during group stage? Now I'm like, yeah, give them all.
Somebody asked me last week, and I honestly did not know the answer to this. In the history of the World Cup, has there ever been a high-quality, entertaining, wow, that was way better than I ever expected, third-place game?
Yes, so the times the third-place game is interesting is when it's like a country for the first time going that far.
Like Morocco?
Croatia.
2018?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Croatia in 2018 made it to the final, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
But 2022...
I knew there was
1998.
I knew there was a recent Croatia one.
1998 is when they played in the third-place game, yeah.
Do you know what we call these games in Norway? The loser final.
Yeah, the loser final.
The loser final.
I think
love it.
That's a worldwide, I think.
It's a silly game, let's be honest.
Yeah, it is. But if it's a small nation making it that far for the first time, they'll take it. And it's an opportunity for some players that didn't play to get some minutes.
It probably won't be that this time, though.
No. It's not headed that way because even if it's
it'll be 2 B teams.
Yeah, and teams that aren't getting there for the first time. Even Norway, I think they would just the disappointment of having lost.
We're going to be in the final, obviously. So this is an entirely academic conversation.
Sure. Okay.
I don't actually believe that.
I love confident Lars.
Wow. Scandinavian Lars is the
Norwegian I've ever heard. Lars. Erling Haaland's going to be very disappointed in you.
No, he's not. That's very much.
He's going to be very disappointed.
We're allowed to make jokes.
He's going to get the Telegraph about what Lars said in the U.S. on the show.
So much to happen today. Obviously, at 4 o'clock, it is the kickoff of the game we have all been waiting for a host of reasons. Norway and England down in Miami. We will spend a moment talking about the fact that the typical Miami July afternoon is in full effect. And, boy, short of it being Norway-Iceland, I can't imagine 2 less, or England-Scotland.
Yeah.
I can't imagine 2 less acclimatized national teams to be playing in Miami in 100-degree
Interesting
heat.
Dynamic that it's bad for both parties.
Yeah, right. How do we handicap this game?
Yeah,
both of them are going to suffer.
Because in our pre-tournament brackets, I had Brazil knocking England out here. Not because I thought Brazil was great, but I thought England would crumble under the heat.
Yeah, same.
But of course, then we knocked out Brazil. So now we have both the pasty white dude derby and
Look at the predicament you put us in now as pundits by doing that.
I do think I've been thinking about this.
Pasty white dude derby.
I think it favors Norway a tiny bit, just in the sense that my enduring fear about the Norwegian team is that our defense is secretly not very good. It's just no one's been able to really get at us. And I think England, if they went out just full pelt, guns blazing, full press, let's all run at the opponent for the first 15 minutes. If they did that, I think they could knock us out of sight. But I think because it's hot and humid, they probably won't do that. So I think there's a tiny little a hint of an edge in our favor in the climate.
Well, by the time we get around to talking about the game, we're saving it for a bit because we want to see what the rosters look like before we really dig into the game.
I got the rosters, baby.
You know them both?
The Norwegian one from very good sources, the England one from pretty good sources.
All right, let's hold off because I'm dying to see
Not
what
just a pretty face, my friend.
Thomas Tuchel has up his sleeve. So we'll do that here in a little bit. Before we go, we should note that the big kind of breaking news out of the World Cup or World Cup related is that a South African player, his name is Jaden Adams, who just played in the World Cup like a week ago, has died. And he is 25 years old. And I have yet to see anything surrounding the circumstance tied to, what caused his death.
They have not said it. They just said that they found him deceased in his apartment.
Yeah, so you'll probably hear more about it, obviously, because nobody knows any details other than the fact that he's gone. We don't really have much to say or know about it. I don't know if, Lars, if you have a particular story or anything you know about him personally, professionally. I'm not personally, professionally that you want to share, but I don't know how much Maladodi Sundowns you watch on any particular weekend. Not much, probably not.
Nope.
So, anyway, very sad story, and I'm sure more to come on that. Before we go and we get into our first segment, let's do Andy's World Cup quiz question the
Okay, I'm going to give you a list of 8 national teams, so have pen and paper handy.
Oh.
And tell me.
Excuse me. Hold on.
Okay.
Give me a second to get pen and paper.
Everybody get pen and paper. Tell
Open
me
a word processor.
which 2 of this group of 8 are tied for the most appearances in the round of 16 in all the World Cups played this century.
Didn't you ask this question the other day?
Not even close.
Oh.
So 2 countries in this group of 8 are tied for the most appearances in the round of 16 in all the World Cups played this century. The national teams are Germany, France, Belgium, Netherlands, Croatia, USA, Japan, Uruguay. 2 of them are tied for the most among this group. Round of 16 World Cups played this century.
Okay.
And so this century would be 02, 06, 10, 14, 18, 22, 26. So there are 7 to choose from. Or 7 to count up or to consider. Okay. There's a trick in here somewhere, Lars.
Yes.
And somehow it's not going to be one of these 8 teams. Somehow there'll be a team not in the list that Andy will reveal.
Oh,
No,
come on.
it's the
Andy
top
wouldn't do that to
2
us.
within this group.
Okay. There's a
So
trick.
within this group of 8, who are the 2 that have the most?
This is like a weird Penn and Teller trick you're trying to pull on
I know
us.
what I'll be.
Germany, France, Belgium, Netherlands, Croatia,
I know what
USA,
my
Japan,
answer's gonna
Uruguay.
be.
Okay. We will answer Andy's World Cup quiz question somewhere near the end of today's show because we're going to let Lars leave a little early. So
Before
that he
Lars
can go
leaves.
I'm
down.
out of here. Last
So he
segment.
can go down, yes, do
Let
his
this
thing.
dust cloud over my chair.
When we come back, The Athletic put out an interesting article today ranking the top 10 World Cup scandals. Does our World Cup historian Andy agree? Next on World Cup Kick-Around. All right. By the way, I meant to mention or ask Lars if he has a new alto adventure he would like to share with the good P1 as our requisite conversational alto thing occurs now.
I was in my alto yesterday.
Yeah?
It was a big alto day. We used alto 3 times?
Yeah, and
because we altoed it to the show, and then we altoed it from dinner
It's
home.
like a verb now.
Yes.
I love it.
Two, double alto.
Yeah, we altoed.
We both
I
altoed.
do want to thank you. My wife and I want to thank you for allowing us to ride with you from dinner
In my
home
longboat.
in your longboat alto. I just wonder how. I'm not wonder, but I do have to thank the alto driver last night for being particularly patient and gracious with us because we were kind of chatty, post-dinner chatty, as you are wont to be after a nice dinner. So,
We were jolly. We were in a
we were
state
jolly,
of
so
advanced
thank you.
merriment.
Yeah,
Were
thank
you annoying riders like
We
drunks?
weren't. I don't feel
No,
like we
no,
were
no, no,
annoying,
no.
but
We
annoying riders don't often know they are annoying.
This is also true. But we were not in a state of excessive merriment.
we weren't. We were just married.
I had
We were
I
married.
had English radio just after I got in, so there couldn't be too much merriment.
God, that would have been something to listen to.
Oh boy, would it? Yes.
I've been all over the gaff the last 24 hours, Peter. There's been a lot of. I think I've done 12 different radio appearances since yesterday morning.
You're incredibly popular.
It's been quite something.
No thanks to the KickAround. We've just been keeping you. We're an obstacle to your
You're not.
European radio famousry. I do enjoy the fact, and I hope Alto picks up on this. Maybe this is something Alto has always planned strategically in their brand strategy, which is the verb altoing. Like I altoed
Altoing, yeah.
today.
If not, we're
we were
introducing.
altoing,
If not, we're suggesting that Alto should
I've been
pick up
altoing
on
it all summer.
I've altoed
I've
it.
enjoyed it.
Okay.
By the way, so yes, Alto has been hauling Lars around during his big World Cup stay. You can also use Alto anytime you want. You can subscribe to the service. You can pay per ride. They own all their cars. All their drivers are full-time employees. It is super great, and you can check it out for yourself at ridealto.com. Thank you, Alto. So today in The Athletic.
Yeah,
Which
the
is-
story came out a few days ago, actually. But
Well,
you read
today
it
in The
today.
Athletic,
Yeah.
I saw it.
Yeah.
That's probably a better
Okay.
way of saying it. Thank you, Andy. Pedantic Andy. They put up an article ranking the 10 greatest World Cup scandals of all time. And I saw this and I thought, this is either going to delight or annoy the living crap out of my World Cup history nerd friend, Andy
I knew
Swift.
which one of those it was going to be.
Yeah. I'm quite Scandinavian in the annoyance factor with stuff like this.
So, Andy, should I read through? Do you want
Yeah,
want to
you
run
read
through
it.
them?
No, you run
All
through
right. So,
them.
number 10, and this one's personal to Andy because Andy actually was there for the announcement here in Dallas when it happened. The 1994 Diego Maradona drug ban.
Yeah.
Where he was announced as testing positive for some sort of drug intake and was eliminated from the rest of the 94 tournament.
The most iconic player of the time gets eliminated or gets suspended from the tournament. All media shows up to that press conference, and this is 10th. Okay.
So you disagree.
Okay.
If you were going to rank it,
I don't know.
where
Let's
would you
keep
put
going
it?
through the list.
Okay. Number 9 is it's still the great mystery of what happens to Ronaldo and what they call Ronaldo and the team sheet mystery of the 98 World Cup. Do you want to provide a little context to that?
Yes. So there was a moment in time when leading up to the final, the day of, Ronaldo was actually not on the start sheet, not on the start list. And then at the very last minute, he suddenly was. And so there was word that perhaps Nike influenced that change. But there was something wrong with Ronaldo. It wasn't.
This is the original Brazilian.
the actual Ronaldo. Not
Yeah,
the real
sorry,
Ronaldo,
the real Ronaldo.
Popular
I'm sorry, not-
influencer Cristiano Ronaldo.
No. Exactly. Thank you. R9. Come on. The one and only.
I believe he'd had a seizure in his room.
Exactly,
On the
yes.
eve of the game.
Yeah.
And was just physically not at it at all. But then he started after all.
Yeah.
And for a long time there was a conspiracy theory that Nike had forced them to start because they wanted him there. Now that's never been confirmed.
No,
in
they've
any
denied
way.
it.
I reckon it's more a case of they tried to get him on the field come what may because he was the guy.
Yeah.
Like, in the way, imagine if it was the same with Mbappe before this tournament, for instance. Like, he was the guy who had the world at his feet, and they just wanted him there somehow.
Yeah,
I'm
They still got
curious.
spanked 3-0.
I'm curious. How old were you in 98, Lars? How old would you have been?
I was 11.
All right. So was 11-year-old Lars just transfixed with the drama of the Ronaldo mystery?
I
of
don't
the World
remember
90?
being transfixed with that, no, because this was kind of pre-internet and all of that.
You may not.
So we didn't really, it wasn't all happening real time
There's
in
not-
front of our faces. And
You
the
don't
way it
have
is now.
Norwegian ESPN back then?
No, I will have watched it at our summer house. We had a summer house.
Oh,
and,
excuse me.
Norwegians-
I need to follow this off.
Norwegian. Listen, it's very common in Norway to have a second home. They're usually not fancy. I'd say most families will have a cabin in the mountains or by the sea or something.
Socialism sounds fun. Number 8, the Battle of Santiago.
Yeah, that was Chile versus Italy in 1962, the tournament being held in Chile. And it was just a downright war. Lots of fights breaking
dirtiest game in World Cup
history.
history?
Yeah, that's what they call it. I'm sure we've seen some worse ones since, but it's maintained its description as the dirtiest one since. So scandalous, I guess it was at the time. Especially the British press really jumped on it. But yeah, I mean that's fair to put in the top 10, I think.
Okay, number 7. This was one we've talked about a lot on the show. The disgrace of Guion.
Yeah, this is when Austria and Germany played a game in which if the result ended up being 1-0 Germany, both teams would advance and Algeria would be eliminated just because of the points system back then and group play. This being 7 to me is too high. It should, or
too low.
Too low.
Yeah, I agree.
It needs to be higher up the list,
completely
right?
agree.
Yeah, because it's just about match fixing, not quite, but just very close to that.
It's bizarre that this is 7th and the next one is 6th.
Yeah, right. So, and the 6th one being?
By the way, if nobody has really paid attention and aren't familiar with the story of that, you need to go Google it, go watch a documentary on it. It is one of the great World Cup stories of all time. Number 6 is the famous Luis Suarez bite of the 2014 tournament.
Yeah, I guess that was considered scandalous at the time. It wasn't the first time he had bitten somebody, right, Lars? I mean, this was...
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
This was his 3rd time, I think, he had done it.
He liked a nibble.
So it was just, yes, it was just Luis
Lars
Suarez.
seems weirdly dismissive of
Yes.
I
this.
just don't think this is as big a deal.
Well,
For instance, I think this being on the list and the French bus incidents in South Africa not being on the list is weird.
Okay, well, we'll hold off the ones that should be on the list. But, yes, so had this just happened out of left field and, oh, my God, this guy. But it was Luis Suarez. He'd done it before.
Well, but I see, okay, I think that's part of the reason why it's on the list is because most people here in the United States watching the World Cup weren't familiar with Mr. Suarez, much less his history of literally biting opponents,
fair.
which seems like the most insane thing you'd ever see out of a professional athlete.
Is that wrong? Yeah.
You see this sort of stuff in soccer. You got to toughen up a little. The odd bite can happen.
You've seen people bite other people in soccer prior to this guy?
Yeah, Jermaine Defoe did it once. He got away with it as well for Tottenham. He just had a proper chomp, and the referee didn't see it.
So divided opinion on this one. Then.
And I mean, the strikers will tell you, like, certainly in the days before, like, this multicam TV, defenders will, like, pinch and, like, rope and do all kinds of things.
Yes.
Like, this is kind of normal.
I will say it can be considered a scandal. I don't know if it's top 10, particularly with the ones that we're also going to say should have been considered.
I watched this at an afternoon soiree at one Philippe Auclair's house, the very eminent French football writer and journalist.
I was on my sofa. Where were you, Peter?
Yeah. And the reason I say this is I was in the company of some other journalists, some authors, and we were all laughing our heads off. We thought it was hilarious that he'd done it again. We thought it was so incredibly funny. And then, this is back when Twitter used to be amazing. Jan Åge Fjørtoft, a prolific Twitter presence, decided to bite himself because he was questioning. I have the tweet in front of me now. He has, was it a bite? ? Look at Chiellini's shoulder. And he posted a screen grab of Chiellini's shoulder. And then he posted a photo of his hand after he had bit himself to compare what the teeth marks looked like. I thought this is just an unhinged moment of social media history in soccer.
I think it was a great shock to American sports television. Number 5, the tragedy of Seville.
Is that what they're calling it? Not
Yes.
not the attempted murder. Okay. This was the Harold Schumacher incident, the goalkeeper for Germany that clotheslined
Lord.
Battisson. You can YouTube it. Just put in Germany France 82 clothesline. If you put that, it'll come up. The guy Schumacher almost killed Battisson. Have you seen clips? I'm sure you've seen clips, right?
So goalkeeper comes out, takes out an attacker. The Battisson, he suffered 3 cracked ribs, a damaged vertebra, and lost 2 teeth and required oxygen on the pitch. Was unconscious for 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's about as close to an actual car crash between 2 humans you've ever seen in your life.
Except one held up.
Yeah, one is the assailant, one is the victim, but it is still a car crash.
Referee took a look at it and said, no foul.
Yeah, exactly. So, that belongs in the top 10.
The pre-VAR days.
Definitely belongs top 10. All right.
Next, Trump's red card intervention.
Not
which
familiar with that one.
Shoots it straight up to number 4 after a mere. I think this is recency bias.
No, it's
or
not.
is it not?
It's absolutely not recency bias, Peter.
Okay.
This is. Just
listen to me. Feed the sharks.
Just the controversy it's caused. You get 70. What is it? Are they politicians in Europe send letters to FIFA and? Right, Lars?
Yeah,
were they politicians?
Yes.
Would you like to place it higher than 4?
Yes.
Lots of FAs issuing statements. You don't see that kind of reaction from the two teams not involved in such numbers like you've seen for this particular incident.
A host country's president exerting political pressure to have a ban reversed is completely it's off the chain. It's not good at all.
Yes.
FIFA have a history, by the way, of excluding federations for political influence in goings on. I'm just going to leave that there.
Nepal, they just did it to Nepal in June. Yes, 100%. And then subsequently, they did not overturn. Not only did they not overturn the Kwanzaa red card, they gave him an additional game.
You'll have one more.
Just to rub it in their face.
Yeah.
Number 3, Colombian drug cartel influence, Lars.
Yeah, this is clearly very bad. But Andy's a better person to talk about this because it pertains to the 1994 World Cup. So Andy will be more across this.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just basing this on the fact that the guy that scored the own goal against the U.S., Andres Escobar, later got murdered, got assassinated when he returned to Colombia. But we subsequently found out that this team was highly influenced by the drug cartel.
Yeah.
The coach was influenced by the cartel, who would play. Learned a lot of off-the-record things from Leonin Alvarez, who was on the team, and shed some light about how hard it was for the players.
Former Burn great.
Yeah, to be a part of that. So, yeah, not a great. I don't know if it. I think that the scandal was the fact that the guy that scored the own goal lost his life.
And also leads into one of the great, all-time great soccer documentaries of all time, The Two Escobars, which is a 30 for 30,
fantastic.
which everybody should absolutely watch.
Fantastic.
Number 2, I was not familiar with, Mussolini's Black Shirts of 1938.
Yes, so this I wasn't too familiar with this either. France and Italy had a jersey color clash.
Both blue, obviously.
Yeah, and so France wanted to keep theirs. FIFA was based in France, so they won out. But Italy changed to all black, which at the time, I guess it was a fascist color.
Yes.
Yeah. So their typical away kit was white. Mussolini said, "No, you're wearing all black."
Yeah. So to me, it's not even the most scandalous thing of the 30. Well, this is 38. Okay.
Yeah.
In 34, Italy. This was a tournament being held in Italy. The referee in Italy-Spain in one of the knockout round games really favored Italy. Mussolini was there, influenced the referee's calls. Spain got disallowed 2 goals. This was a big scandal at the time in the 30s, much more than this one.
I think for Europeans, the symbolism of the Italians turning up in black shirts months after the Anschluss of Austria. So Austria had already been annexed by the Nazis in Germany, and the World Cup was still going ahead with the fascists there. And it's problematic for us in terms of our history.
Italians,
which is maybe a lesser appreciated part on this side of the Atlantic.
And also doing the Nazi salute before the game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Suboptimal.
Yeah.
So, Andy, you don't think that should have been on the list?
I don't know. I wasn't around at 38.
I agree it's high. I think it's more like a symbolic placement for the whole tournament.
Yeah,
well,
the 34 and 38 Italy-led teams that had a lot of Mussolini influence things happen.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then number 1, the hand of God.
So we all know what that is. That was Maradona's leaping in the air, punching the ball in the goal in the game against England, which later gave us the best goal of any goal in World Cup history. Obviously, in English football history, this is a really, really bad moment.
The writer is English.
Yes. It's a bad call on the field. The referee made a mistake. He didn't see it, whatever. It was scandalous, I guess. But, I'll give you – this English writer didn't – now I'm going to start to get into other ones. Yeah. He didn't mention the 66 goal line, the goal that didn't cross the – so that's funny. Yeah. So this is one. It's a referee mistake. But the another really bad referee mistake, which benefited England in this case, it didn't even make the top 10. So I find that a little bit weird, right?
Yeah. I think the disgrace of Gijón is significantly worse. I think the Balgan thing is significantly worse. So I also don't agree with this being number 1.
Yeah. And 62, I'm going to go in chronological order, and we'll get to yours.
You have a list of grievances you'd like to speak to the manager?
I have others
Andy Swift?
I have others to consider. 62, we talked about how Garrincha, Brazil's best player, his suspension was overturned. He got to play in the final. That was scandalous at the time. It's something to mention. The goal line incident in the 66 final. The 6-0 Argentina over Peru scoreline in 78, where, it's rumored that Peru got handed some stash of money to make sure that the scoreline was 4-0 or worse. In 82, a Kuwaiti prince came down on the field, talked to the referee, and reversed a call. and the goal was overturned. Yeah. How is that? I don't know.
No, it's bad.
That's not a referee mistake. That's just bad.
They lost 4-0 anyway.
I guess. I
think that's forgotten because of its inconsequentialness.
Yes. Okay.
Which, of course, is what Johnny will be praying happens with Balogun as well.
Yes, fair point. Maradona, his hand of goal, they still lost the game, but okay. Zidane headbutt in 06.
I was about to say,
doesn't
that count as that's a lot bigger than the Suarez nibble,
scandal.
I'd say.
Yes, it was a huge scandal, right? It happened in the final. Was Zidane the best player or one of the top 5 players at the time?
100%. I'll never forget that day and the impact it had on that game, and ultimately, it was wild that happened, and I will never forget that moment.
A lot of people will never forget that moment.
Yes.
I will say,
Yeah, no.
I will also just say, judging by the way this article is put out, it looks like one individual writer has been assigned this and probably has a couple hours to put it together. So it's not going to be,
Zidane headbutting in the middle of a World Cup knockout game and getting thrown out, which effectively changed the course of the game, was pretty wild.
And then the other one I have is the one you brought up, Lars, the French team incident of 2010.
On the bus, yeah. Going on strike. That was the moment.
Basically the team going on strike for a day.
We had our biggest World Cup scandal. We've had one in Norway in spite of our limited World Cup exposure, and that was when Henning Berg and Erik Mykland went out on the town during World Cup 98. They went and had a few beers.
Well, that's scandalous.
Yes, it was very scandalous because they weren't allowed. So they kind of escaped the camp at night and went to a bar and had a number of beers.
Sounds like a Scottish World Cup.
And they would have gotten away with it, but they couldn't find a taxi. This is like pre-Uber. So they were in a small town in France, and they couldn't find a taxi. So they went into a hotel to use the phone to call a taxi, but it turned out to be the hotel where all the Norwegian journalists were staying. Oops. So it became a thing. It was a massive scandal, actually.
So 2 Norwegians go out for beers during the
yes.
The Scottish guys are going, and that is wrong.
That's what. That sounds like fun. Very good. All right. Well, Andy, you should write a sternly worded letter to the author.
I'm typing it as we speak.
Yeah. His name.
I'm sure he's had no comments of that nature since that.
Elias Burke would love to hear from you, Andy.
I got to tell you, people, when they have a couple hours to put something together and you do the best you can and then you move on with your life, what you really want is long comments telling you what you've done wrong. That's something you have a lot of patience for.
You're having a radio show talking about your article. What better than that, right?
Absolutely. All right, when we come back, it is Norway and England. We'll talk about the starting rosters, all of it next on World Cup Kick-Around. I think I've just hit a new high point of this entire World Cup. It's a photo that Lars has shared with us from this morning on his... So Lars is in doing an appearance on a media outlet somewhere in the world, and in the background of the place he's staying is this very Americanized American flag surfboard in the back corner. And I look down and find out Lars isn't on the BBC or CNN. No, he's making an appearance on Al Jazeera television.
The Qatari-based news network. A fine outlet.
And the American flag surfboard.
Yeah, figured the American flag surfboard. And notice that I'm wearing a pink shirt.
You are
gotta bring some classy looks to that part of the world.
Should have worn your hat too.
Yeah, where's the cowboy hat?
I figured that was a little too eccentric.
That would have been the hat trick of awesomeness on it.
Sure, the men can wear pink. It's all good.
You're very much a rebel, Lars. Let's take a reading of the Lars Norwegian nervous meter right now, live on radio.
You know what? I've been so frazzled with all this work that really I've not had time to get nervous. It's going to kick in close to kickoff. Now I'm still like in operations mode of just making sure I make all my commitments and crucially remember all my commitments. I had to yesterday just sit down and go through all my messages and just make sure I know all these things I've said yes to. It's been a very chaotic 48 hours and I've honestly not had time to get properly nervous yet.
Well, the game kicks off at 4. Norway and England. The lineups are out. On the English side, I think the thing everybody was kind of trying to figure out was what Tuchel was going to do at right back. Guy is proven to be fit for the game, and he will start at center back. Konsa now will slide out to the right.
Yes.
And Declan Rice, no doubt he was never not going to play, but a lot of people wondered what his status was. He will start in the middle. Gordon on the left, Madueke on the right, and everything else appears to be pretty much the same.
Yeah, so I guess the top line from that is Reece James not fit to start and Saka not starting either. Funny thing about Saka, not really playing as much as many would have hoped. And Madueke, he has his limitations, but he keeps the width, and I think that's something Tuchel really wants. He wants the wingers to stay wide to try to open up the center a little bit. The English national team have had a problem in recent tournaments where they have too many people who want to occupy that center space when you already have Harry Kane who likes to drop off. You've seen them play with like Phil Foden and Palmer and Bellingham and Kane. So you got like 4 dudes who all want to be in the exact same space on the pitch. Tuchel just has 2 out-and-out wingers who tells them to stay wide. That's why you don't see some of the famous names you maybe would have expected to see on the team sheet, is because Tuchel cares more about the structure than about getting the biggest star names on the field. I think it's interesting. Konsa starts. I mean, Konsa has played a fair amount of right back in his career, so it's not completely new to him. I'm really interested in how they approach this, because as a Norwegian, my fear is, I've said it before on the show, I'm not sure we're that good defensively. It's just no one's really gone at us. And my big worry with this game is that England will just come out and smash us, which I think they have the quality to do. But I just think because of the temperature, and maybe because of Tuchel being a slightly conservative coach, maybe they won't. The fact that they're starting Konsa, a centre half at right back.
I think that the weather does factor in how the coaches approach the match, because it may not only be 90 minutes, it may be at 120, and they have to think about that.
Will there be more minutes of the game or a higher feel-like temperature of 103 right now in Miami?
Sauna.
Yeah. So by the way, that temperature, the feel-like temperature, would be the highest recorded temperature in either country in their history. The feel-like temperature. Also want to point out 4 England players are on yellows. Bellingham, Rice, Gio, and O'Reilly.
Yeah, O'Reilly on the yellow is interesting. O'Reilly, the fullback starts on the yellow. You do wonder if that's going to be at the back of his mind, that he doesn't want to miss the next game.
It always is,
yeah.
and so you try to exploit that if you're the other team, right? I mean,
Who's the backup left back for England right now?
Jed Spence is the backup everything. He's the backup right back and the backup left back currently. And a half-fit Declan Rice is also a backup right back.
So for Norway, what is the playbook for Norway?
Well, hold on. Let's do the Norway line, because we haven't even talked about Norway.
Sorry.
Let's run through Norway's 11.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, we got the music coming. Yeah. This is nice. This is the remix of Erling's song. We talked about this yesterday. I love this.
Here's Norway's 11, brought to you by Lars.
Currently number 1 on Norwegian Spotify, Erling. Not just our footballing hero, but also now a successful artist. We got Ørjan Nyland in goal after his heroics against Brazil. We're never dropping him. Julian Riosson, the right back, who could only manage 60 minutes against Brazil, is in the lineup. We're hoping he can go all the way today. We got Christoph Aya and Torbjørn Heggem, our defensive partnership, and David Mola-Wolfe, who's the backup left back for Wolves, has been playing very well for us in the tournament. In midfield, Martin Ødegaard, of course, Sander Berg, of course, and Patrick Berg, the guy who looks like the mentalist in that show, is continuous in midfield. He really does look like him.
Patrick Jane.
And whereas Alexander Sørloth continues at right wing, our giant unconventional right winger starts again. Erling Braut Haaland in the middle, of course, and then, interestingly, Antonio Nusa benched from the start in favour of Andreas Schjelderup, who provided the assist for both of Erling Haaland's goals against Brazil.
So he earned himself a start with that.
He did. It's the combination of things, I think. He's slightly better in the defensive work than Nusa. Nusa's big hero growing up was Neymar, and you can see that in the way he plays. Doesn't love defending, does Nusa, whereas Schjelderup is a slightly more diligent worker off the ball, and he is a good crosser. We saw that, the pivot. We talk about how it's become a tournament of moments now, and I think in Norway-Brazil there were 2 truly pivotal moments. One was our goalkeeper saving the penalty, and the second one is the cross for Haaland to make it 1-0. That really turns the game, and that was Schjelderup making the cross, so he is rewarded with a start here.
Are you happy with the lineup, or is there any kind of concern?
I completely agree with Sheldrick over Noosa because he's earned it, because he's a better defensive worker. And also, Noosa is more of a wild card, but he is also a potential sort of game-breaking match winner, can score out of nothing. So if this is a slow and stodgy game because of the heat, he's not a bad guy to throw on with 20 minutes left. Like, he's a guy to have in the back pocket.
Can I ask my question now? Now is a good time?
Yes.
What has to happen for Norway to be able to win this game?
I think actually a slow game might suit us. We need to keep some pressure off our defense by keeping the ball a lot. We want to keep possession. We don't want England to run at our fullbacks all day. We've seen in the tournament that this team is not happy when it has to defend down the flanks a lot because we have kind of slow defenders, and so that can be a big problem. So we need to keep enough possession that England aren't attacking us constantly. We probably will need another big performance from our goalkeeper, who has had a mixed club career, but of course was extraordinary against Brazil. And 'twas ever thus, we need to be able to feed Erling. But I think this English defence doesn't impress me that much. I think we will be able to do that. It's more about keeping them at bay and not letting Kane and Bellingham and the guys run at us all day.
The one intangible that I'm curious about, with everything going on with England, how much of the wear factor from Mexico City.
The wear factory?
Yeah. The wear factor.
Yeah, the wear factor.
Like just so they worn out from the effort they had to put out in Mexico City.
And Norway, conversely, not as much against Brazil when it was all said and done. So there's a disparate difference.
So all of that would suggest that England are not going to go out guns blazing, full pelt, high press, try to get us early, which is the thing I, as a Norwegian fan, worry the most about. But everything points to them taking a slightly cautious approach, which I think for us is frankly a better thing. But the conversely is, if they do come out all guns blazing, that means we'll have more chances to release Erling Haaland on the counter, which is the thing everyone's afraid of.
So with the weather being a factor, depth will matter. I mean, you would think England is the depth, right? They're the depth team here, but they're really not. Exactly.
They have some injuries.
Exactly. That's the point.
Especially in defense.
Psychologically, which team is more apprehensive heading in, like the players apprehensive about the conditions?
This is what I was asking, not just the wear physically, but the mental toll the Mexico game took on England, or conversely, does it just fill them with like, hey, now we've crossed our greatest gap that we had to get over, which was playing in that environment. Now we can do anything. If we can pull that off, anything is possible.
It's also, but the depth is a point here, right? So when we get to the second half, if England aren't in the lead, and about an hour has gone by, Tuchel can look at the bench and look, hey, there's Marcus Rashford, Morgan Rogers, and Abera Eze to throw on against our tired fullbacks, and Saka as well.
Yeah.
Like, that is real bad for us. So I think extra time would be not good for us. I think we're going to have to try to get this done in 90.
You're probably right, but the English have to just absolutely keep their fingers crossed that Konsa doesn't get hurt or O'Reilly doesn't get hurt, anything like that. Plus, to Andy's point, they've got so many guys sitting on yellows. And because if they really have an aim at going further in this, to lose any of those guys for a semi, for the next game, for the semifinal, would be devastating. The yellows are cleared after a semi, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't want them to miss the final. So it's time that we make a prediction here. This is such a hard game for me to predict because I do feel like Norway is going to be very much in this game, and I'm going to say 2-2.
Ooh.
And Norway in PKs. Boom!
Ooh.
Whoa.
Spicy.
Really?
Why not?
Okay.
I'm trying to catch up here.
Okay, I'm going to go next. I'm going to go 2-1. I'm sorry, Lars. England in regulation.
I've heard 2-1 in England from smart people. I respect. It's not because, again, they have attacking quality that we haven't really had to deal with so far.
And now you've heard 2-1 from people, smart Americans.
So I've been saying 2-2 to everyone. I'm going to go 1-1, though. I just think the more I think about this heat and the humidity, we could have a slow game. So I'm going to go 1-1. I do think both teams will score. I don't think we keep a clean sheet. I do think we score. Hang on, though.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, listen, let's be very un-Norwegian. Let's be very out of character. Let's say 1-1 full time and us to win it in extra time. 2-1.
Oh, whoa. That is amazing. I love this level.
Erling to dig deep and find something from somewhere in extra
Awesome.
time.
Love it.
Sweaty Holland.
By the way, the other day, we played some of this the other day. Can we get this, Dixon, real quick? Erling Haaland's comments about throwing all the pressure on the English. Do we got that?
I think there's some clear favourites out there. England's one of them. So I think all of you should put every single pressure on the English lads.
I think he's right. I do think the pressure is on all the English, and you guys, Lars, are just playing with house money at this point.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that would, I mean, I'm guessing that's part of the thinking behind Andy's prediction, because that would really favor us if it goes to penalties.
And the crazy thing about this is that they both teams have a guy capable of just being that magic moment maker up front,
sure.
But they couldn't be more diametrically opposite in terms of their personality and their kind of media approach and how the media pays attention to them. Yeah. And in fact, Harry Kane was asked about the differences about them the other day. I thought this was some interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's an impossible one for me to answer. I think, first of all, we're completely different players. I know we're both senior strikers, but almost two different positions, if I'm totally honest. Yeah, Erling has been incredible. His goal-scoring record, physically, he's a machine, he's a beast. His finishing is at the highest level, and obviously his goal-scoring record speaks for itself. Yeah, I see myself as a different player, although I score the same goals. I like to maybe touch the ball a little bit more, be involved in play a little bit more, but also can play as maybe the out-and-out nine. But yeah, I don't think he's one to compare ourselves. I think, I respect him a lot as a player, as a fellow professional. Obviously hoping he has a quiet day tomorrow, but yeah, I think his overall performances over these recent years speak for themselves. He's a fantastic player.
Such a respectful guy, Harry Kane.
Spurs
like a lovely
great
gentleman.
Versus national team hero, Lars. What are you going to do, Spurs fan?
It's Norway. Come on. This is, what's the saying? Blood is thicker than water?
Dixon had 2-2, by the way, with England winning in PKs.
Okay.
For the
and by the way, just to throw one more little spanner in the works, while the weather itself is hot and humid and brutal, there is a 30% chance of the thunderstorm.
You didn't bring this up until
I just saw
after we make predictions.
I hate that.
It is a typical Miami summer afternoon. The late afternoon thunderstorm may make an appearance, which would surprise nobody from Miami, which could throw all kinds of weird things in the works if they have to delay the game for a lightning storm delay. There's nothing in the area right now. I was just looking at the weather radar. There's nothing on the radar right now. But if you've ever lived in Miami or spent any time in Florida, that shows up out of nowhere.
Yes, sir.
And it'll completely freak you out. And so just keep that in the back of the mind. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's possible that could happen. Norway, England, kickoff at 4.
Let's go.
Down in Miami on Fox. Dallas and the P1s are rooting for you, Lars. Everybody is Norwegian today here on the ticket. All right, very good. When we come back, we'll preview Argentina and the Swiss next on World Cup Kickaround. Lars is missing. I don't know if he's in the bathroom retching or he's got pregame bathroom needs.
You brought up, are you stressed? And he hadn't thought about it. And now he's thinking about it because you brought it up. And yeah.
You know what? He's probably making another international media appearance during the break.
He has been, this Norway run
has been good for Lars.
Has been good for Lars.
Yeah.
He's been sought after.
I really honestly don't have any perspective of this, but is Lars right now their number one media personality outside of Norway? Like that is everybody's trying to get a bite of Lars because of the run.
Yesterday, he had 8 mini interviews on BBC-affiliated radio shows. 8 of them. It was like a press junket. They just put him on for an hour, and one BBC outlet after the other just took 8 minutes to talk to him.
So I asked him this exact same question walking up today. Are you the number one voice on Norwegian soccer? And his answer was a very humble, essentially yes, as long as they can't get a player where there's a little bit more familiarity. But yes, he is the guy.
So this the World Cup been very, very good to Lars.
Yeah. And
Alto.
And the fact that they advanced to first play Brazil and then to play England.
Yeah.
I mean, these are big games, and you definitely want opinion of somebody that knows what they're talking about with Norway.
Oh yeah, I mean Lars is the expert. I mean, and we're so lucky to have him here, and to be. I was just dawning on me. I'm going to get to watch this game happen with Lars again.
Yep.
And that's been maybe my favorite part of this entire experience is going and spending time with Lars. Being at the game against Ivory Coast was just, I'll never forget that.
Except you missed him falling down off his chair when Holland scored the second goal against Brazil.
Well, hopefully
he was
falls
literally
down.
on the floor at the pub.
Maybe this time he'll lay down.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. All right, so there is another game today. This is the last of the 2 games in one day. We're slowly dwindling down into sadness, but it is Messi versus the Swiss.
Yeah.
8 o'clock in Kansas City. It's going to be warm in Kansas City, too, although the sun won't be out. But
I think the question with Argentina, as they just keep marching on, with the finals in sight now, I mean, it's a little bit of the Messi show plus 10 others. That's an exaggeration, but
no, it really isn't.
But we do have to think about this. Messi is old. I mean, relatively speaking, right? Yeah,
right. Yeah.
He's been outstanding so far, but eventually, do the minutes catch up to him? He's smart about how he moves during a game. He picks his moments. Was very close to being eliminated in that 2-0 scoreline against Egypt. So what was going through my head at that time, like in the 75th minute when they were down 2-0 before the comeback, was, man, I guess it's all caught up, and you could see it in his eyes, and he looked like, oh, this might be my last World Cup game. And they managed to turn it around a little bit because he also just took it up a notch. And so maybe he's saving it for those moments.
Did you see the article in The Athletic today that has calculated how much walking he's done in the tournament?
Like, is this one of those walking versus running kind of thing?
No. Like, everybody
okay.
just accepts that Messi spends a lot of every game literally walking around.
Okay.
And they did, like, the whole math on how much walking he's done compared to everybody else. And, of course...
Is he getting his 10,000 steps in?
He's leading that chart by a factor.
Yeah.
But that's just who he is.
Yeah.
Of course, again, if it was anybody other than Messi, i.e. somebody who isn't converting chances, everybody would go, why are you wasting your time with the guy? Because now you're playing with 10 men instead of 11.
Yes, and you just said something that is key. And we know it. We maybe don't talk about it enough. But they create chances. Other teams create chances. But ultimately, the Messi chances, the rate of conversion, it's so high.
Yes. That's
right?
the only reason why
Chance to conversion.
Yes, it's the only reason why Messi gets away with being Messi and standing there as other things happen around him is because you benefit from all the stuff that he does when he finally decides to do something. And it's so rare. Like just think about Ronaldo. Ronaldo stands around, does nothing.
Rate
and
of conversion low.
Yes, exactly. And so everybody fusses about it. But with Messi, it turns into magic. And again, I would anticipate that happening again. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and Barney Ronay was on there, and he made the most interesting observation. He says the problem with Messi is that Messi has never experienced playing a game of football without Messi.
Right.
And he doesn't have that perspective of what it's like to not have him on the field in a moment.
He himself.
Yeah, he himself. And so, when Messi's not out there, things are different. And he just, I mean, all of us who have been watching for as long as we have, none of us can get past the fact that he continues to produce day after day, game after game. And at some point, it's going to come to an end, which I think is reflective of his emotional reaction in the last game.
When he scored the tying goal, that celebration was a notch above others that he's had.
I totally agree, because I think he, like the just overwhelming emotion of, I thought that was it. Relief of like, oh my gosh, we may actually keep going on.
And the tears at the end of the game. We've never seen that from Messi after winning a round of 16 match.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think the Swiss are going, for all of the, Cape Verde, for Christ's sake, gave them trouble. I think the Swiss might quietly be good enough and organized enough and team enough to give the Argentines a lot of problems today.
Well, they will. Cape Verde did. Egypt did.
Yes.
Right?
I mean, based on the tournament, I would say the Swiss is the best of all the teams that they have played out of that group.
Up to this point, for sure.
Yeah.
Because the Swiss are, they're pragmatic, they're practical, but they do have shades of being able to do something with the ball enough that they keep advancing so far in this tournament. It's not that the Swiss have, I think Colombia was probably the most stout opponent they've played also because they were in an easier group, right? They were in Canada's group with Bosnia and with Iraq, with Qatar. So they really haven't faced a ton of really stout competition until they played Colombia. But in a very boring game, the Swiss were very Swiss, and they were able to get that result even though it was through PKs. But they can do the same thing, I think, to this Argentina team. The thing is, Peter, if it's 0-0 in a very Swiss scoreline and it's the 85th minute, they're just going to try to find Messi, or Messi's going to look for the ball, and he's going to have a moment. And that's why I think it's hard to pick Switzerland in this match.
Yeah. Plus, Switzerland has an injury issue. What is the player, Lars? Do you remember off the top of your head the Swiss player? It's not Mbolo that's hurt. Is it Manzabi that's not going to be available to them? I think today. They'll be the most. Again, I'm just, don't be.
Manzambi is an injury issue. Yeah, looks like he might miss out, which is a big problem for them.
Yeah. So, point I'm trying to make for people listening and preparing for tonight: don't be surprised if this turns into a very similar type of game that the last two games have for the Argentines, even if they go behind. But then again, that just sets us up for more messy matching.
Yeah, well, and that's just going off of what we talked about. I do have Argentina 1-0 with that exact prediction.
Yeah. Do you have a
Argentina 2-1? I don't trust I'm really very suspicious of the Argentines now after making really hard work of both Cape Verde and Egypt. I don't trust them as a team, but of course we know that Messi can do it against anyone at any minute. So I do think the Swiss can make this difficult for them. They have nowhere near the same level of individual talent, but they're rugged, they're organized, they know how to get things done. I think they can cause some trouble for the Argentinians in this game.
Before you came back in here, I had just said that I thought the Swiss might actually be the best of the three teams that they've played, Egypt and Cape Verde.
For sure. Not even close.
So I'm going to throw out a spanner in this. I'm going to say Argentina wins this one going away 3-1.
Okay.
Oh.
Wow.
So you think the Swiss are the best they've faced, but you think they're going to win more than they won before?
Yes, I know that makes
Just
zero.
trying to track your logic here. I'm not criticizing it.
I'm not a logical person.
What
Lars.
about us saying it was Messi and just 10 other guys that convinced you to then make it 3-1?
I just have a weird feeling Argentina. Well, part of this is that I really want Argentina.
Me too.
I want a non-European side to make the semifinals. Yes. 1, 2. I want one of two things. Obviously, I would love to see an England-Argentina semifinal in the World Cup.
That would
take
be
the
juicy.
Norway component out of it. There is just so much historical context to that opportunity to see that game. But on the flip side, the greatness of it is if Norway was to beat England, seeing Norway play Argentina in a semifinal in its own way would be...
Or England, just the drama with that.
Well, that's what I was just saying. Yeah, I'm saying, but if we don't get England-Argentina, Norway-Argentina would be tremendous.
One thing on Argentina, and stop me if you've been over this. They've beaten Algeria, not very good. They were comfortable against Austria, but then they've beaten Jordan, and then they struggled against Cape Verde and against Egypt. They've not played anyone good yet.
That's the point. Is that I think Switzerland's probably the one team that'll play them the best.
Yeah, and the Cape Verde thing, accidents at the workplace, they happen. But then when they struggle against Egypt as well, I'm like, maybe they're not that good. So I think this game is actually set up to be really rather interesting.
Dixon has them 3-0.
I'd be very
blowing
surprised.
Them out.
I'd be very surprised. But you know what?
Are you going against
the time
Dixon?
traveler?
This is the thing. Well, you don't. We know that there are teams who raise their levels according to the opposition, right? We know that is a thing, and maybe this is one of those things. I've seen them have the same problems. They keep trying to thread the ball in through the middle. I think the Swiss can set up well and try to defend against that. I'm not
It'll all
convinced.
be a problem, and then in the 85th, they're at zeros, and Messi will just look for the ball. Give me the ball.
Stop it. Okay, I'll take care of this.
Yeah.
Just everybody just stop. Let me just do this and get over with it. Fascinating. You know, the BBC digital virtual thing where they're replaying games. Like, have you seen this? How is this working, Lars? The BBC has like a video game version.
They have a 3D version of the games. Yeah.
So
It's
all the
funny.
games, and you can like pick the perspective of the actual individual players.
Yes.
Get out during the game?
Yeah, well, after you can go in. So if you wanted to see like what it looked like from Dan Burns' perspective when he was heading the ball really far
It's
away.
wild. Yeah, it's kind of like very it's like video games circa late 90s, early 2000s.
It looks like FIFA 98.
Yes, but the Messi hit for the tying goal in the last game is remarkably awesome.
My favorite moment of that feature is when the referee got cramp and had to sit down.
I think,
extraordinary.
I think you showed us a clip of that. Yeah.
Also, I think,
well, it's because of the way the video graphics demonstrated or showed the player stretching him out. It looked rather
like they were like trying to cut him in two or something.
No, it looked more like a
that and
porn.
the Dan Burn cam from when he headed an overhead kick across the halfway line. Those are also highlights.
Yeah.
I mean, what a feature!
It
What
is.
an absolutely mad thing to do.
And I'm sure somebody got paid very little to create that, but boy, it's been super entertaining to watch. All right, that game takes place at 8:00 out in Kansas City. Messi versus the Swiss. It should also be a good one. When we come back, we didn't get to it yesterday, but Andy has an interesting item about CONCACAF and Africa he would like to talk about next on World Cup Kick-Around. Okay.
How many times will that be said today?
Lars's
many,
Norway
many.
World Cup theme song.
There we go. I mean, I like that you're doing this for me, guys. I appreciate it.
Jake King's finest moment.
If we win, I'm going to send you so many Norway tracks for tomorrow. It'll be all Norway all the
You
time.
are the most sought after. Yeah, what do you expect? You're the most sought after journalist.
Norwegian
east
journalist
of the,
anywhere.
Yeah,
Okay,
the other
so-
side of the Atlantic.
Dear listener, the reason I missed most of last time, and I had to step out and do a thing for BBC television, for BBC News, which I thought was big enough to kind of interrupt the kick around. But I did tell them, like, I am juggling this with another broadcast, so can we be very short and sharp and, like, don't call me in before you have to and all this sort of stuff. I did warn them in advance, and they were like, yeah, that's fine. And then I logged on, and they were running late, and I sat there waiting for several minutes, and you can imagine what kind of really important broadcaster was on before me. Not being rude, but it was a Jordan Henderson impersonator.
Oh, no!
Whoa. What?
And he seemed like a nice guy, but he didn't look that much like Jordan Henderson.
Did he talk
So I
like
feel
Jordan
like it
Henderson?
wasn't really worth missing 5 minutes of the kick round waiting for them to get done on the call with the Jordan Henderson lookalike.
Who in the world makes a career out of being a
I mean, he didn't.
Jordan
he's
Henderson
not making,
impersonator?
He said he also works in a football academy as a course planner or something. Like, it's not a full time gig being a Jordan Henderson lookalike.
Brutal.
But that's what they had me on hold for. They just put some perspective into things, you know, when you think you're getting too big for your boots.
Then you're just following a Jordan Henderson impersonator.
Yeah.
you know, and it puts you like in your place.
You're the B block behind Jordan Henderson lookalike. This is interesting timing because with Morocco going out of the tournament and all three.
Yeah, but hold on.
Sorry.
Yeah, because we may.
Oh
lose
yes,
Lars.
that's right. We're going to lose you, Lars. That's what the big arrow on my run sheet means to me. I forgot.
Yes.
Let's do the answer to Andy's daily World Cup quiz question now here on the ticket.
Question was out of the list of 8 national teams I gave you, tell me which one of that group of 8 are tied for the most appearances in the round of 16 in all World Cups played this century. So 8 teams: Germany, France, Belgium, Netherlands, Croatia, USA, Japan, Uruguay. 2 of those are tied for the most appearances in the round of 16 all World Cups played in this century. You must get
so
both
not consecutive. This is just a total number in
You
in
must
the
get
7
both
tournaments
to get it right. Germany, France, Belgium, Netherlands, Croatia, USA, Japan, Uruguay. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
You go first.
I'm going to pick. I'm going to go nutso here. I'm going to pick the Japanese and the Belgians.
Okay.
And Lars?
I'm picking the French and the Croatians.
Okay. Both got it wrong because you have to get both teams.
Oh, no.
Lars,
So
you
that means-
get partial credit.
I get Croatia, right? Croatia
No,
has
you
to-
got France right.
Croatia are not in there?
No, it's France and the U.S. of A.
Really?
Really?
Oh, so it was
Really?
related.
See, I was throwing the
Well done,
2018
Dixon. Well done,
full-on
Dixon.
miss out. And interesting
Yes.
stuff.
Did Dixon
France-
get this right as well?
Yes, he did.
Yep, I
USA
did.
and France
Guy's
have
a machine.
five.
Cheater.
5 of the
I'm
7.
telling you, he's a time traveler.
5 of those 7 World Cups, the U.S. and France both got to the round of 16. Germany 4, Belgium 4, Netherlands 4, Japan 4, Uruguay 3, Croatia 2, because it does not include 1998. So 2018, 2022. Okay.
I'm just
Okay.
going to repeat as a side note. I am 100% convinced that Michael Dixon is a time traveler.
Yeah.
And as more days go by in this particular adventure with him, the more proof we get that he actually is
Yes.
a time
He's
traveler.
just coming back from
Carter
the-
is my witness. I did get that one.
Okay.
He did.
All right.
Yeah.
Again, because you already knew the answer, sir.
Peter, I can't believe you didn't get that one
I
right.
know.
Your
I'm-
national
I'm-
team was.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well,
But it's pretty incredible.
I'm a stereotypical
Yeah.
self-doubting
Yeah.
American soccer fan.
Okay.
But
self-loathing.
That leads into the topic that we want to talk about because, look, the U.S. has made all these round of 16s, but
Bonked out.
when you look at quarterfinalists and you compare CONCACAF to Africa, and I started to think about this because now Morocco, twice now, 2 World Cups in a row, got to the quarters. The U.S. has gotten to 2 quarterfinals in 2002. CONCACAF has gotten 2 quarterfinals. The U.S. in 2002, they beat Mexico in that round of 16. So
Ironically, yes.
Yeah. And then
The
in
greatest day.
2014, Costa Rica, through penalty kicks, advanced over Greece, which is, it's and that's how Costa Rica got to the quarterfinals. Meanwhile, the African teams in the 90s, Cameroon got to the quarterfinals once. In the aughts, Senegal got to the quarterfinals once. In the teens, Ghana got to the quarterfinals once. And now in the 20s, Morocco has gotten to the quarterfinals twice. So that's 5 times the African teams have gotten to the quarterfinals. So a lot more production in terms of advancement. So then I started to look at the records. CONCACAF versus Africa. Their records in World Cup matches. And they're basically even from 1998 to now. But when you take away Mexico and the U.S., and you take away the 2 best performers for Africa, Ghana and Morocco, CONCACAF teams over the last 20 years have only won 11% of their matches. The African teams have won 21% of their matches, basically 10% to 20%, twice as many when you strip away the top 2 dogs. So there's something to be said about the way the African continent or the African Confederation has started to develop teams beyond just like 2. Because we've now had a cycle of several World Cups where several African teams have done well compared to what CONCACAF has provided other than the U.S. and Mexico.
But isn't that mostly related to the fact that African nations tend to be a better factory of for producing talent than North and Central America? In terms of just the overall talent pool in Africa is better than it is in our particular confederation. None of these. When you said you wanted to talk about this, I was curious where we were going to go with this because I'm not surprised by these stats.
Because I think there's a perception that CONCACAF does better than it because up to the 90s they did a lot better. Africa never really did anything in World Cups, and then something started to change in the 90s, and now over the last 20 years they've really gotten farther ahead. But you're right. And Lars has made this point, right? I mean, a lot of these African players are developing in Europe.
Yeah.
Right?
That was what I would have wanted to come in with, because out of the 9 African teams that got out of the group stage, 5 of them have got more than 10 players who are born outside of their own country, and they are predominantly coming through the European academy structures. Congo have got 22 out of the 25-man squad born outside their country. Morocco had 19. They fielded an entire 11 who had all come through in European countries. Algeria have 16. I mean, predominantly French-based. Yeah, I can go through the list.
Yeah,
we don't
right.
need that. And we can also look at most common countries of birth during this tournament. 99 players in the tournaments born in France, 67 born in the Netherlands. That's all the Curacao squad plus the Dutch.
Yeah, but
what
I was going to say
it's
is
the European talent structure and the coaching, I think.
Yeah,
is
but
crucial there.
Jamaica, Trinity, Curacao, like Haiti, it's the same for them, right? So what is the difference here?
Well, is it competitive level between the inside each of the confederations?
I think that has a lot to do with it. I think
bigger populations, though. Sorry, I mean comparing Trinidad to some of the countries I just mentioned, just based on the size, including the diaspora, like it's just not the same size of talent pool.
No, it's not. But we can, that's another argument about population size, and we've seen that it's not always, population size doesn't always matter that much. I think part of the issue too is Mexico, which is kind of the one of the top dogs now with the U.S. Their players tend to not go overseas to Europe
because they can make just as much money.
Exactly, yeah. So that's affecting it. The U.S. development is young, and we'll talk more about that. It's still in infancy, contrary to popular belief. It really is in its infancy. But my worry is that, man, the Hondurases and the Panamas and the Canadas and Jamaicas, they're just not developing at the rate. And at least in terms of World Cup results that the other African.
But see, I think that's one of the great ironies about Major League Soccer is that I'm of the belief that league has been a boon to all of those national teams.
It has.
Because they have maximized the opportunity of getting their talent inside that league that didn't exist before.
Right, but maybe to Lars's point, it's still not as good as going to play in Europe.
Oh,
right? Yeah.
I wonder if you're looking at overall CONCACAF underperformance, I feel like there are two things happening. There's the Mexico and the U.S. not being as good as they probably should based on talent pool and resources and culture. But then there's also the smaller Latin American countries like Honduras, Costa Rica, Panama not making the kind of impact we've seen them do. There, maybe this is ignorant of me, and I would love for you to pull me up if it is. I feel like in those countries, facilities and quality of coaching and professionality of coaching could be an issue compared to some of the things that the African talent is benefiting from.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, I don't know about infrastructure in Africa, whether that's comparable, but Costa Rica, which has the most resources and the best infrastructure, results have shown that they have gone, and now Panama's investing. So that's something to do with it.
Well, again, just to underscore my point about where people are born is that the bulk of a lot of these African teams have come through the European systems. So the infrastructure they're benefiting from is set up by the Western European countries.
Right. Not in the proper country itself. Yeah.
And it is interesting as FIFA continues to peddle around with the idea of expanding the World Cup even further and bringing in even more nations. Ultimately, when we get down to nut cutting time, we end up with the same teams again, and I do believe a lot of this is a lot of it has to do with the competitive nature within UEFA versus the CONMEBOL versus CONCACAF, Africa, Asian, whatever. And so a big problem for the U.S. and Mexico is that the competitive, like CONCACAF games are competitive, they are wild, they're weird, and all that stuff. But that's a different type of pressure and environment than what everybody has. The Belgians have to deal with when they're in a group with France or Germany or Liechtenstein or whatever. It's just a different deal all the way around.
And a lot of eyebrows were raised when the African Confederation was giving extra teams because of the expansion up to 10 teams, but 9 of their 10 advanced.
They had a great tournament.
And only 3 of the 6 CONCACAF teams advanced. The host countries, the other 3 zonked out. So
I would say if you're tiering them, the African Confederation is definitely ahead of CONCACAF.
And that was my point. It used to be CONCACAF was third. Now they're definitely been supplanted.
All right, Lars, we're going to send you off. You don't have to stick around for the final segment of today's show. You go downstairs. We're all going to watch the Norway-England game at a place across the street from the station. So, Lars, good luck, buddy. We'll see you in about 20 minutes or so.
Excellent.
Get your hup ready and all that. All right, we'll take a break.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. See you.
And this actually, for Andy and I, leads into a conversation that we've been wanting to have on the show for a bit, which is all the conversation, all the drama, and all of the controversy around the youth system of soccer here in the United States. And Andy and I will begin to dig into the tip of that iceberg next here on World Cup Kick Around. So dramatic. They are just about to kick off between Norway and the English.
Hold on, they're doing their starting 11 picture. I judge.
How do you judge the Norway?
Good. They
picture?
only stayed together for 2 seconds though.
Just for the photo.
Yeah.
Is that a bad sign?
No, they just didn't. They were impatient, and they just 2 seconds. And
does that give you any sort of indication of how they'll perform in the game? Okay.
No.
All right. So for the kit nerds, Norway, being Team A, got to go with their full kit, which is the red shirts, the navy blue shorts, and I think they're wearing the red socks. I'll have to go back and
That's
look.
top 3 kit of this World Cup.
Yes, I would agree with you. But what that means is that now England has to go with the all white. So instead of, because typically England prefers to wear the navy blue shorts and the white socks.
On the shorts you're talking about.
So the short color has to change. A little detail for the kit nerds out there. So that's the downside. But we essentially have both teams wearing their traditional setups, and that's always a great thing to see in a World Cup game, 100%. That game will kick off here in just mere seconds. If you haven't heard, the lineups are out. Madueke's out there. Konsa's playing right back, since they don't have a lot to choose for at right back for the English. So we'll see how it plays out. Lars is downstairs across the street.
Stressing
with friends, stressed out to the highest order. All right, real quick, the whole conversation about CONCACAF and Africa mentioned the fact about structure, and really some of the biggest noise in the fallout of the U.S. losing 4-1 to Belgium, very predictably, has become about how we go about the business of producing soccer talent in this country.
Yeah, every time we zonk out of the World Cup, it's like, okay, things are a disaster, and everybody feels they have the magic bullet.
And that's the same conversation every country has when they fall.
Exactly.
They're having it in Germany and Brazil and all the other places that are no longer in the tournament.
And the truth is, there is no magic bullet. It's a lot of things that have to be done right and developed and over time improved. And it's there's so many. There are so many factors and things that contribute to the development of a national team and the improvement of a national team over time. Just ask Italy. Like, I hate to keep comparing, but it's just to show you this is a soccer giant that hasn't been able to qualify.
They've won
for
the World Cup.
Yes, right, and they have internal struggles with this same issue. So for us as a burgeoning soccer nation, of course things aren't perfect. But there's no magic bullet, no magic solution. It's more than one thing, and it's how we approach lots of different things.
Yeah, I also think what's happened, and this commonly happens in the world with the internet, where everybody can just say things, and because they say them, sometimes people tend to believe them to be factual. Is that there's a lot of made up stuff about how soccer is done in the United States is just flat out just not true. But at the same time, there's a lot of accusations that are 100% true. And it all starts, the phrase everybody hears all the time is pay to play, and as if somehow that is somehow exclusive to the United States.
No, and everybody you have to pay to play. It's who pays for the player to play. There are countries abroad where a lot of the coaching salary, it's really infrastructure and coaching that you have to pay. I mean, these coaches have to earn a living here or anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. And it's who subsidizes those costs. And abroad, in quote soccer nations, a lot of it is done by the clubs, by the federations, sometimes by government. There are some nations where it's split between parents and whatever entity is helping subsidize this. It's not too different from the way things are here, but I think the difference here is that the majority of youth soccer falls under the pay-to-play where parents are paying for it. Up until very recently, where that's starting to change, right? Because MLS teams now have started to develop players through an academy program, and in those cases, at least within the 30 MLS teams, and not all MLS teams are the same. Some do it better than others. FC Dallas is one of the ones that does it the best. They're the ones subsidizing the cost of the coaches and the infrastructure for the players at the very highest level.
Right. And so I think the reality is what a lot of people hear is about all the parents out there. Many people listening now or have friends that have kids that are just spending insane amounts of money for them to participate at a higher level. I mean, there's obviously all kinds of recreational tiers of the sport across the United States that kids can play in. But if your kid wants to be competitive and try to turn this into a career, a lot of it is also what makes this unusual in our country is a lot of kids, both boys and girls, are all competing for these scholarship ideas. And so they're all trying to be on a competitive level because you're not going to get recruited to go get a scholarship at a D1 school if all you're doing is high school soccer.
Yeah, exactly. And that leads to winning is the most important thing at under 12 and under 10. And that is probably a little different in some of these other soccer nations that do a better job of developing future World Cup stars. But the fact that we have now, at least in 30 markets, we're starting to see that changing, that will contribute to better development. The issue is, one, geographic, right? I mean, we have a large country and only 30 MLS clubs. So you're not able to hit all the top-tier talent.
Right.
And then the other one is that who's the first MLS team to start an academy? It might have been FC Dallas. 2007, 2010. I mean, we've been doing it 15 years.
Yeah, in the scheme of the timeline of the sport across the world, MLS or America is behind everybody by 50, 75, 100 years. But when it comes to actually having a system in place or academies in place to produce talent, the United States essentially has only been doing that for less than 15 years, and in most cases, less than 10 years. So that's really behind the times across the rest of the world. But I think the real thing that tends to, where a lot of people make a lot of really good points, but we really haven't figured out a way to manage this is, first off, MLS is not responsible for the growth of American players exclusively. That really belongs to U.S. Soccer. That is the organization that is tasked with managing all of that stuff. And the reality is trying to manage relationships of all the individual groups that manage soccer on a state level, on a city level, on a community level, is an incredible task in a country of the landmass of this size. And those are the types of things I think U.S. Soccer has wrestled with for a very long amount of time, and then ultimately how it has developed into its own industry. And so, as with many things in this country, when they kind of fall into that category of how can we turn this into a business, I think that's where everybody feels like it's taken a wrong turn.
Yeah, and that leads to the if our best athletes played soccer, we'd win the World Cup. And the fact is, until development doesn't reach a certain level with better coaching, better systems, better infrastructure, you could put your best athlete, they would not develop into the best players, right? Like the LeBron Jameses would not reach the level that they need to reach for the U.S. to win a World Cup.
Yeah. The way the system is in the United States is absolutely 100%. I agree with everybody, even the most hardcore against how it is. I agree it is broken. It has its broken systems. But 100% is also true is that if you made soccer, quote unquote, free for every kid in the world right now, the U.S. wouldn't automatically become a world power in the game. It is, like everything else in the world, going to be dependent on time and culture. I think one of the big changes that is happening in our country is that we have two generations of kids that are growing up with a professional league and access to the greatest leagues and players at their fingertips, something that you and I didn't have, or me specifically, since you didn't necessarily grow up here all your entire life. I didn't have back in the 70s and 80s. And I think those, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and now coming up, the next one after that, is it Beta? Those kids all just kind of absorbing the game as part of their daily existence, those are the types of things that I think are going to be able on the long term to make the biggest difference.
Yeah, right. And you see it now with kids. And we used to say, well, parents never played the game. Now parents also play the game. So it just takes time with all this. But I do think we have a very unique sports culture in our country. We're never going to soccer's never going to be like the singular sport like it is in many other places.
Never.
So whatever is done, whatever needs to be changed or improved for better development has to fit within that sports, because that will not change.
No.
Right? Having said all that, if you go to all the World Cups played in this century, right, since 2002, only Brazil, Spain, England, Argentina, and Mexico, 5 countries, have played in more round of 16 matches in a World Cup than the United States. Having said all that, so imagine if things start to tweak and get better and improved, and we just have more time.
Yeah.
To improve infrastructure and coaching.
I say this all the time. I've watched enough World Cups to be able to tell you how different it is in this particular World Cup, where we're all freaked out about the result of the team, what that roster of player looks like versus the roster of player back in 1990. And all of that has taken place in my lifetime. I'm not that old. So that to me is a big deal. Andy and I don't like talking about all this stuff a lot because mostly there is no way to talk about this and to come to conclusions, because they are ongoing existing situations, and nobody is ever happy or nobody ever feels satisfied out of these conversations.
Don't freak out about that Belgium loss. It was bad. It was disappointing. Team didn't show up. Whatever you want to, but don't freak out in terms of like, oh my God, we've taken a step backwards. Where are we going?
I think the biggest epiphany I had about that result was the American kid who watched the game wearing a U.S. jersey, was really bummed out. A parent said this to me the other day. My 11-year-old kid watched the game, but he was the most mature. But he's like, yeah, this is always where they go out, and had just like this really mature kind of ball knower attitude about it. And he's 11. And then he turned around and watched Messi, do Messi things the next day, and he loves the World Cup. The U.S. team lost. USA as a host has won, and the sport of soccer is just fine in this country and is progressing nicely. And whether you agree with that or not, I feel strongly that we're on the right path.
We're infants right now. We're infants still.
It may not be a straight path. It may be a wildly crooked and broken path, but it is a path that we are progressing down fine. I'm not too disturbed about it. All right. We're going to go downstairs and join our buddy and hope the best for him. England and Norway has kicked off. All right. We will be back on Monday. We are off tomorrow, so our next show is Monday night, and we'll preview the semifinals on that day. Thank you to Dixon for producing. Thank you to Cam for doing tickers. And thank you to Carter for running the board. P1s, we'll talk to you Monday night on The Ticket.